Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly briefing. We will be hearing today from Public Health and from our new Chief of Police, and then I have a number of announcements as well, including on our upcoming spring primary election. But we'll start, as we always do, with Public Health Madison Dane County, and today we have Doug Vagley, who's the Operations Chief, with us.
Thank you, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity and giving us the opportunity to update some of our mass vax plans that are happening, happening now, not only just the planning, but actually the operation and getting the vaccine into arms. As of today, we have 83,834 people in Dane County with their first dose. So that's really promising. That's up about 30,000 from last week. So we're making progress. 29% of the 65 plus population in Dane County has now received at least one dose of vaccine, either Pfizer or Moderna. 15% of all of Dane County has at least one dose at this point in time. And we figure probably right around 4% of Dane County has both doses and are fully vaccinated and protecting against COVID-19 symptoms. Currently, we are planning into 1B. That eligibility list is on or about March 1st. It's very, we really have to think on or about March 1st because it doesn't mean that March 1st, all of a sudden, everyone that is eligible is able to receive vaccine. It's going to take time. We figure that we have approximately 30% of the population of Dane County that is in Tier 1B and eligible for vaccine on or about March 1st. 30% of Dane County, that's a lot of people. And we are still getting not the amount that we're requesting for vaccine on a regular basis. We're requesting over 3K or over 3,000 doses this week for first and second doses. We hopefully will get the allotment that we asked for, and that will help us to get more vaccine in arms. A lot of people are in the 1B. It's a large group, and it's in priority, and it will start with our educators and our child care. Then we will go into individuals in Medicaid long-term care programs. And then we'll move into public-facing essential workers, then non-frontline healthcare personnel, and then at 1B will end with congregate living. And we really hope that we have enough vaccine and doses at that point in time so that we can ensure that those of our most vulnerable people, community members are getting the vaccine as that is going to help prevent further outbreaks and reduce the number of cases. We're currently on a downward trend, and I hope that we can continue on that downward trend. And as our cases go down, our vaccinations go up. At that point in time, we are hoping that we'll be able to move into what we would consider more of a normal life, probably mid to late summer, most likely when we get the vaccines. We continue to have an issue with vaccine supply. We have the capacity at AEC to ramp up and increase the number of lanes that we're providing vaccine, but vaccine supply continues to be our limiting factor in numbers of doses that we can get in arms. We hope that in the next few weeks that number of doses available to us will increase, and at that point in time, we can increase our capacity of us and our healthcare systems that we work very closely with to ensure that we're getting the vaccine out as quickly as possible to shorten up the time frame. Another important announcement this week in regards to shortening time frame is that we did make an application to become a FEMA site, one of 100 sites located across the United States. We hope to find out in 2 or 3 weeks if our application is accepted and that we would become a FEMA site. If it is accepted and we do become a FEMA site, that would allow us as a Tier 1 site to have 6,000 doses put in each week over 5 days. So it's a huge ramp up and would provide us a lot more vaccine as well as people. And it would shorten that time that we are working on to ensure that we're getting vaccines in as many people as possible. So we'll anxiously await the FEMA, but until then, we'll continue to take every dose that we have and make sure that it's getting in everybody's arms appropriately. We have yet to waste a dose, and hopefully we can continue to ensure that every single dose we receive is going into arms to slow and stop the transmission of COVID-19 and help return us to normal. Hopefully late summer, maybe early fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And I just want to emphasize again, public health is working very, very hard, both to keep us all safe while we are working through the vaccine process and also to supply testing, which is still available at the Alliant Energy Center. As you heard, we have the capacity to deliver vaccinations. We do not have the supply of vaccine to do so. So we are advocating with the federal government, with the state, to up that supply, and we're hopeful that we'll see increasing supply in the coming weeks and months. But in the meantime, please be patient and please understand what tier you're in. You can find more information about that on the state DHS website. And please, please, please continue to take the safety measures that will keep you, your family, and our community safe while we are working on getting everyone vaccinated. That is to continue to wear your mask, continue to wash your hands or sanitize, continue to keep that 6-foot distance between you and folks that are not in your household as much as possible. We do need to continue to try and keep each other well and to slow the spread while, again, we're waiting for everybody to have access to the vaccine. Next, we're going to hear from our new Chief of Police, Dr. Sean Barnes, and I just wanted to have an opportunity for him to be more broadly introduced to the community. He's been meeting with a number of different groups in the community, and I suspect that he will become a regular participant in these briefings as needed. But Chief, welcome to your first weekly briefing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Barnes. I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief of Police for the Madison Police Department. It's important to note that as we begin this new chapter, this new journey in the Madison Police Department, we are prioritizing 3 things. One is crime prevention. The second is community engagement. And the third is employee safety and wellness. It's important to note that crime prevention is very important to this administration. We will do that through effective community partnerships. As the mayor mentioned, I've been in town for about 3 weeks now, meeting with various members of the community. We want to continue that. We want to keep that momentum going. In addition, I'd like to thank all the members of the community who's reached out to the police department with words of encouragement and also words of advice. Please understand that crime prevention is a joint effort, and we certainly welcome the ability and the opportunity to work with anyone who wants to work with our police department. This police department will prioritize community engagement. We do understand that in the world of COVID, we can't have the face-to-face interactions that I think are very important in establishing relationships. The proximity to each other has been taken away. However, we can still meet via Zoom, which gives us an opportunity to talk and meet face-to-face and in groups. So we want to continue that momentum. We look forward to working with any group that wants to work with us to figure out how to better engage and serve the community. In addition, as a public safety note, the roads are starting to get slick out there. We're asking everyone to take your time while driving, We're asking everyone to give yourself plenty of distance when stopping or braking, and if you do not have to drive, please try to stay at home. However, the Madison Police Department, the dedicated men and women, stand ready, willing, and able to help you in the event that you need us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I have a few things to go through today, and then we'll get to questions. I'm going to start by noting that it is Black History Month, and I hope that everyone will take a moment to learn about Madison's Black history. There's a number of great resources out there, a couple of great books that have been written by members of our community specifically on Madison's Black history, and we also have nice work done by our own planning department on preserving, as part of our preservation plan, our historic preservation plan on Madison's Black history. And our public library is also tracking upcoming events for Black History Month and has compiled reading lists for you if you're interested. So maybe, as the chief said, stay off the roads, curl up with a good book, and learn a little bit about Madison's history. You can find those events and the reading lists at madisonpubliclibrary.org. Regarding the February primary election, yes, it is election season again, and there are some important things on the ballot. Statewide, we have the State Superintendent of Schools race. There are a number of people running in that race. We also have several aldermanic districts here in the city of Madison that have primaries. And there are several other races depending on where you live. So I really encourage people to vote in this election. You can learn more at cityofmadison.com/clerk. Any questions you might have, including what's on your ballot in particular. You can also look up your address on the assessor's website to see what districts you live in, if you have questions about that. A number of details about the election and how you can vote and have your vote counted. We are offering in-person absentee voting. It's happening now. It started on the 2nd, and it will go through the 13th. So if you want to vote absentee in person, first of all, you do need to be registered, but you can register at the in-person voting site. You will need to bring a photo ID to vote, thanks to Wisconsin law. And if you need to register for the first time or update your registration because you have moved or changed your name since the last election, you do need to bring a proof of residence with you. But again, you are able to register in person at the polls between now and February 12th in person, and then again on election day if you need to register to vote. And you can vote. I'm about to go through a list of locations and hours where you can vote early, in-person absentee. We have incredibly dedicated election officials who are staffing these sites. They have been trained on the public health advice in terms of COVID-19 safety precautions. And in each location, they're taking precautions to limit the number of people that are inside at any given time. So we do ask you to be patient. If we end up with lines at some places, you may need to wait outside of the building, and they will let you in as they're able to based on the capacity of the voting site. So here are the places that you can vote and the hours that you can vote at them. At the city clerk's office, which is 210 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and at the Warner Park Community Recreation Center at 1625 Northport Drive. You can vote weekdays through the 12th, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can also vote on Saturday the 6th, noon to 4, and Saturday the 13th, from noon to 4, but on the 13th, you must be pre-registered. You can vote at Goodman South Madison Library, at 2222 South Park, at Meadow Ridge Library, 5726 Raymond Road, at Penny Library, 516 Cottage Grove Road, and at Alicia Ashman Library, 733 North High Point Road, weekdays through the 12th, 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Saturday the 6th, noon to 4, and Saturday the 13th, noon to 4. Again, on the 13th, you must be pre-registered. You can vote at the Goodman Parks Maintenance Facility at 1402 Winger Creek Parkway, at our new Fleet Services Building at 4151 Nakusa Trail, and at Olbrich Gardens at 3330 Atwood Ave on weekdays through the 12th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can vote at the East Madison Community Center at 8 Strauble Court on weekdays through the 12th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And at the Memorial Union on the UW campus at 800 Langdon Street, weekdays February 8th through the 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And at the Madison College's campuses on Commercial Ave at 2125 Commercial Ave and the Goodman South campus at 2429 Perry Street. You can vote Monday, February 8th from 10 to 2, Wednesday, February 10th from 10 to 2, and Friday, February 12th from 10 to 2. And then the Edgewood College is offering voting by appointment. That is happening at the Predolin Commons at 959 Edgewood College Drive, but you must call for an appointment, and you can call 608-266-4601 to make that appointment, and the available hours are February the 8th, that's Monday, noon to 2, Wednesday the 10th, noon to 2, and Friday the 12th, noon to 2. So lots of options to vote in person absentee if you want, and all of this information is on the clerk's office website. I do want to say that the clerk's office works very hard to make voting accessible to everyone, and is really committed to their goal of making sure that every eligible voter is able to cast a ballot and have that ballot counted. There's a number of tools that they are using to increase the accessibility of voting in the city. The election officials at any polling place use the Disability Rights Wisconsin polling place checklist on election morning and at the absentee voting sites to make sure that each polling place is accessible. We will offer curbside voting at polling places if it is difficult for folks to access the room where voting takes place. You just need to notify the poll workers or the clerk's office that you would like to vote curbside. If you are indefinitely confined to your home due to disability, illness, or age, you can request absentee ballots for all future elections. You will need to provide a photo ID for that, but it's a process of just uploading that ID and making that request. And you can do that through the My Vote Wisconsin website. At every City of Madison polling place and in-person absentee voting site, we have an express vote machine available. This is a ballot marking machine that allows you to mark your ballot using a Braille keypad or a touch screen with large print and high contrast options. It's also compatible with SIP and PUF devices if you use one of those. And all eligible voters are allowed to use the machine, and ballots marked by the express vote are counted in the same tabulator as pen-marked ballots. There's also options in express vote for Spanish translation if you need that. You can ask anyone to assist you in physically marking your ballot with two restrictions. The assistant cannot be your employer or your union agent. And you can request a Braille ballot either as an absentee ballot or as a ballot at the polling place. You just need to contact the clerk's office ahead of time to allow for that ballot to be printed. If you want more information about this option, or frankly, any of the options that I've described, you can contact the clerk's office at 266-4601 or email voting@cityofmadison.com. I also encourage folks to check out the Wisconsin Disability Vote Coalition, which is a really valuable resource. Their website and hotline provides information about voting rights, upcoming elections, and more. Again, this is all part of our effort to really make sure that voting is accessible to absolutely every eligible voter in the city of Madison. And then finally, I literally was just in the clerk's office before this, and they tell me that the absentee ballot requests are streaming in. They have already sent, I think, over 20,000 absentee ballots for the February primary, which is fantastic. So thank you all for requesting those ballots and for being voters. And if you have an absentee ballot at home and are ready to send it back, you have a lot of options to return it to the clerk's office. You can drop it in one of our secure drop boxes by February 15th for the spring primary, and those drop boxes are at all but one of our fire stations and at Elver Park. They are big and emblazoned with the Madison flag, and they're hard to miss, so I encourage you to use those. You can also obviously mail your absentee ballot back to the clerk's office. You can drop it off at the clerk's office, or you can drop it off at an in-person absentee voting site if you would like to, or you can drop off your absentee ballot at your polling place on Election Day. So lots of options to get that absentee ballot back to us. And of course, you can also vote in person on Election Day at your polling place. So I hope the takeaway here is that there are many ways to vote in the spring primary on February 16th, and there are also many ways that you'll be able to vote in the spring election in April. So encourage folks to read up on what's on your ballot and make sure that you make a plan to vote on or before Election Day. All right, moving on to some other city news. I just want to remind folks that at the February 2nd Common Council meeting, myself and Alders Heck, Lemmer, Furman, Prestigiacomo, and Evers introduced proposed zoning changes that aim to increase both the number and types of multifamily housing being built in Madison. These changes would make it easier to develop housing in most multifamily residential and mixed-use zoning districts across the city by streamlining the permit review process for projects that meet basic requirements. These zoning changes, I think, are really important components of a comprehensive strategy we're working on to meet our housing needs, and particularly to support small and medium-scale buildings, which are often described as missing middle housing. We need to be diversifying and expanding housing choices for everyone in Madison, and these zoning changes are important to enable the diverse housing options that we want. This is something that I campaigned on, and I'm very happy that we've got this work underway, and I'm hopeful that the city committees and ultimately the council will adopt these changes. When taken together, these changes are going to implement recommendations from the comprehensive plan and the analysis of impediments to fair housing that we did in 2019, along with other adopted housing-related reports. The zoning changes will go now to committee for review. So if you're interested in learning more, please watch the agendas of the Housing Strategy Committee and the Plan Commission for opportunities to learn more and to comment on the proposed changes. You also may have heard that the city and county have announced the site that we selected for a permanent homeless shelter for men. And I'm very pleased that we have finally found another appropriate location for this permanent men's shelter. It is on the east side of Madison on Zier Road, and this facility will provide a home for shelter services that have been operating out of temporary facilities since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And before that operated out of cramped quarters in downtown churches for the past 35 years. The site was selected after an extensive search by City Real Estate, which examined dozens of possible locations. And I think it's really important to understand how much the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the need for a really adequate permanent site for a homeless shelter, and how important it is for us to provide shelter to everyone. Our goal is to renovate this facility into a purpose-built shelter that supports single homeless men and offers a full range of supports and services and programming that will help connect users to more stable long-term housing in our community. We have known for years that we needed more modern facilities for our homeless community, and I'm very happy that the city has been able to work with the county and the county executive in particular to cooperatively rapidly house homeless families and individuals during the pandemic, moving people out of those cramped quarters and into hotels and other accommodations to increase social distancing and reduce the spread and exposure of COVID-19. This is just the next step in that work. So the need is urgent. It's not an option for us to continue what we were doing pre-pandemic, and it's not an option for us to stay at temporary facilities. We have been looking for a site for months. Nothing is perfect, but this meets many of our needs, and I think this is a really important project for our community. I know that no one is excited about having a homeless shelter next door, but I hope that we can all be compassionate and understand how critical it is for our community to provide this service. In snow-related news now, at some point, what's going on outside will turn to snow. And I just want to remind you that the water utility is asking you, please, to clear the snow away from fire hydrants near your home. We have about 9,000 fire hydrants across Madison, and the utility works very hard to make sure that they are ready and working when firefighters need them. But the firefighters, should they need them, can't get to them if those hydrants are buried in snow. So we're asking, while you're out shoveling, if you can just clear a path from the fire hydrant to the street. That is going to help. It will help protect you and your neighbors in the event of a fire. It's just a tiny tad more shoveling, and I just hope that you all can pitch in when the next time we get to shoveling, which is probably going to be in the next couple of days here. I also want to note that the City of Madison has joined the National Gun Violence Survivors Week movement, and I issued a proclamation on this. We are in National Gun Violence Survivors Week this week, and we did this because every year almost 40,000 Americans are killed due to gun violence, and 85,000 more are non-fatally shot or wounded through gunfire. This is really unacceptable numbers. It's another sort of shocking statistic, I think, is that by February in America, more people are killed by guns than each year and in an entire year in our peer nations around the world. So we have to work to continue to lower these numbers and end this tragic tradition. So the National Gun Violence Survivors Week is part of that effort. It's a week to commemorate those we've lost and honor those that have survived gun violence. So I'm asking the whole city to just take a moment this week and reflect on that and work with us to promote responsible gun ownership, gun safety. Please, if you are a gun owner, be very careful how and where you store your gun and who has access to it. And please help us reduce gun violence across the board in the City of Madison and in this nation. I also want to share some good news. Dane County and the city and our partner Slipstream have been awarded a Department of Energy grant to improve energy efficiency at the city-county building. This is a really great effort. We are being granted almost $1 million to retrofit the city-county building with high-performance triple-pane windows and a cost-effective LED lighting systems. Funding comes from the U.S. Department of Energy's Building Technologies Proving Ground grant. And leveraging that funding, we are going to perform these upgrades and retrofits coupled with networked lighting controls. This is all very high-tech and exciting in our building automation system. It's going to hopefully demonstrate whole building energy savings resulting from an integrated HVAC and lighting systems that will save 10 and 60% respectively while providing key grid services. So I want to thank the folks that were involved in writing this grant and planning the project, and thank the U.S. Department of Energy for the grant. It's really important for the city to lead by example and to increase our own energy efficiency while we encourage other folks to do the same. And my final item before we get to the community resources and meetings is just to note for folks that we are marking the year anniversary of the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in Madison and Dane County. And in doing so, one of the things that we did this week at the council meeting is honor our healthcare heroes who have carried us through this pandemic, including Public Health Madison Dane County and all of the healthcare providers and staff at Unity Point Health Meriter, UW Health, and SSM Health St. Mary's, who work hard every day to keep our community safe and healthy. At the last council meeting, as I mentioned, we passed a resolution honoring them, and I just want to read the resolved clauses because I think they're powerful. So we resolved that all who remain safe and healthy owe a debt of gratitude to those whose sacrifices make our health and safety possible. And be it further resolved that the City of Madison offers our deepest appreciation and heartfelt support for the healthcare providers and staff, public health staff, and first responders who are working to keep our communities and our state healthy. So thank you. If you are in healthcare, please know you have my personal appreciation, the appreciation of the City Council and the entire City of Madison for the work you're doing to keep us safe and healthy. I'll end, as I always do, with community resources and upcoming meetings. If you are in danger of losing housing or are homeless, please contact the City Housing Helpline. That number is 608-264-0549, or you can email housinginfo@cityofmadison.com. If you need help accessing internet or phone service, call the Public Service Commission at the state at 608-267-3595. If you need help finding a child care provider, please call 608-216-7022. To be connected with services, particularly emergency food options, call United Way of Dane County at 211 or text your zip code to 898-211. And 211 can answer all sorts of questions and direct you to resources all around our community. The city also has a free financial resource hotline to help residents navigate financial issues related to the COVID-19 pandemic. You can learn more at cityofmadison.com/financial hotline or call 608-315-5151 to set up an appointment. These resources and more are found at cityofmadison.com. Click on the community resources link. Also at cityofmadison.com is the meeting schedule where you can access information about all our upcoming city meetings, including their agendas, minutes from past meetings, information on how to register or view the meetings, or how to provide comment to the committee members or the City Council. Upcoming meetings this coming week on Thursday the 4th, that's today at noon. The Madison Central Business Improvement District Board will meet at 5. The Police Civilian Oversight Board meets. Also at 5, the Traffic Calming Subcommittee will meet. And at 5:30, we have meetings of the Community Development Block Grant Committee and the Affirmative Action Commission. On Monday the 8th at 4:30, the Finance Committee meets. At 5:30, Plan Commission meets. Also at 5:30, the Police and Fire Commission will meet. On Wednesday the 10th at 4:30, the Urban Design Commission meets. At 5, the Transportation Commission meets, and at 5:30, the Education Committee will meet. And that is what I have for this week. So we will see if we have questions.
Good morning, Mayor. We do not have questions today.
No questions today. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week. Please stay safe out there. Drive carefully. Stay off the roads if you don't need to go anywhere. And let's hope we get some nice snow and not too much freezing rain. Be well, everyone.